Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Women Who Win. You are live with me, Tamika Hall. This is Tamika Hall Live. And you know what Wednesdays are for. It is about showcasing women who win, whether it's against all odds, it's through the odds, they create the odds, whatever it might be. That is what Wednesdays are for me. I'm really excited about my guest tonight. Miss Loida E. Hopkins. I'm really excited to be able to talk to her. We have known each other for years. She's somebody that keeps me on my toes and somebody that I can trust with, different facets of my business and all of those things like that. This is what I need for you to do right now, though. Take a quick moment. And if you have not already shared this out, I need for you to click the share button below, share it out, let everybody know that I am live with Loida. Listen, this is, I know, going to be something that's going to bless you. It's going to bless other women that you know. And it's really going to be one of those episodes. And I know that you know this because they've all been this way. That's really going to inspire you toward greatness. Okay. That's what this is all about. It's all about taking the everyday woman, the woman that has to, take care of home. She takes care of kids. She runs a business. She is involved in ministry. She works. It's taking that everyday woman, figuring out what makes her tick and how she's able to maintain her confidence. Because I think that all of us women at some point or another, we've all experienced a situation where we just didn't feel like ourselves. You know what I mean? We just didn't feel really, really confident. And so tonight is all about that. So again, we have Loida E. Hopkins that is going to be coming to the airwaves. I'm really loving this space where I can connect with women from all over the globe. And we're getting ready to talk to her about her being mom CEO, chief everything officer. And we're going to be talking about her brand new business, Spanglish Foods Incorporated. Okay. So again, what I'm getting ready to do, we're going to take a very quick break so we can let you know about one of our sponsors. And while we're doing that, please share this out right now.
I Worship 96 FM Radio. Stay connected to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at I Worship 96. Visit our website, www.iworship96.com.
And we're live. We are live with Moy. What was I trying to say?
It's okay. People call me Loy.
I was trying to combine Miss Loida like Moy. We're live with Moy. Okay, whatever language that is, y'all. We are live with Miss Loida E. Hopkins from Spanglish Foods Incorporated. How are you doing, Loida?
I am doing great. I am super excited to be here with you, Tamika. Out of all people, I'm so grateful to be here with you. So I'm excited.
I'm really honored to have you, and I am loving your background. I love the whole set. Yeah, I'm gonna bring you into to take a corner of my space and turn it into a set.
Shout out to Cloud9 painter Susan Reiser from PA.
Oh wow! So that's a local artist.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So listen, folks, we are live with Loida E. Hopkins, and we are today talking about her being a mom CEO. That's the chief everything officer. I think all of us women, we can attest to that. We know what that's like to be the mom everything officer. That's wifey, mommy, minister, business lady. We know what all of that is about. So Loida, give us a rundown. What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, it doesn't look like this.
I like that though. You look cute, girl.
Thank you. Typical day looks like me staying in bed in the morning as long as I possibly can.
And how long is that actually though? Because you have 3 little ones.
Until the kids are like, "Mom, I'm hungry," and then I'm like, "Okay, babe." But see, my husband and I, we work really well as a team. So, he kind of does the diapers in the morning, and then finally I get up, I go do the breakfast, and then I'm just go. So
you're so lucky because I didn't have that. That was not my portion when my babies were little. And the funny thing is, you're saying you lay in bed as long as you can, but I've gotten texts from you at 3 a.m. in the morning So
I'm in
listen,
bed when I'm texting you.
so listen, but you're still working. So people, this is what everybody doesn't understand. So Loida runs her own empire, but she is also my part of my marketing team for
Yes.
my company, right? And the thing is, though, she will hit me up. I mean, she's one of those people that she's allowed to contact me whenever, and she will send me a message. It'll be like 3:44, like, and that's how I know because it's been at this time, 3:44 a.m. And she's like, "Listen, this is what I think you need to do." I'm like, dude, are you serious? So
I'm like, she'll respond whenever she can. I'm just gonna
right.
send this because if I don't send it now throughout my day, I'm gonna forget. It's not gonna be in my head. So it's like while it's in there, let me shoot this to her. She can let it marinate whenever she needs to.
So what I do
Hmm.
know, and I think it's really great that you and X actually work really well together. I think that that is so cool. You guys have always just been a really cool couple anyway. But you guys have three little ones. What are their ages?
So Daniel is 7, Layla is 5, and Jackson is 1.
One.
So
Yes. And
he just
so
turned 1.
there are times where we're having like a business meeting and y'all like she'll have the baby on the hip or like whatever happens when you have a baby. And I'm like, girl, it's cool. Like, I'm like, it's fine. Like he's screaming. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I raised 4 kids. Like, I'm really okay. But you also
Hmm.
you homeschool
Hmm.
and you run multiple businesses.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do you balance everything?
Honestly, I don't know. Like it just kind of happens. It's just kind of like every moment I pause for the needed thing at that time. So it's like
Yes.
if I'm sitting there staring at a flyer that I'm getting ready to post to like observe and make sure that it's like right, and my child is like, "Mom, I'm hungry." It's like I'll pause and then I'll just attend to that. And like while I'm making whatever, I'm like looking at my phone, doing that. So it's just kind of like being a little bit of like an octopus a bit. So just trying to balance it that way and just I don't know, honestly. I feel like if you're on the outside looking in, it's easier for you to like say it. Like my husband, if you asked him that question, he would know, like, oh, okay, she does this. I don't know because I'm inside of me, so I'm just like doing it.
Do
Like
you
I
feel
could
do you feel spastic during the day, or is it just one of the things you're like, okay, like I just do it?
sometimes I do feel spastic. Like there was a time where I was at the well, actually this week I was at Restaurant Depot and I had my 7-year old pushing the stroller. I had my 5-year old sitting on the little like they have these cart things where you can put all your like stuff that you're buying. So I had like all three of them with me in the Restaurant Depot, and then my son's like, I
Oh
gotta use the
Lord,
bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom twice for him. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So in those little moments, I'm like
girl.
getting flustered because I'm like, I hate being out. I just want to get home. I'm a homebody. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's funny, you sound like me. When mine were younger, if I could, I tried to avoid going to the store with all the kids because you're right. It's like
Hmm.
we really spend triple the amount of time in the store when you have the kids because somebody
Yes.
ultimately always has to use the bathroom or there's an accident. They always want something that's on like in the aisle. And I'm like, yo, I just need to get in
Hmm.
and out of here. And so with you running multiple businesses, homeschooling, wifey duty,
Hmm.
you've taken on this new thing of literally handcrafting your own seasonings, and we'll get into that. How are you able to really build multiple things at one time? Like I know I asked you about balancing, and so I feel you. I think as moms, we just make it work. We've learned
Hmm.
how to master getting more done with less time, and that's kind of how we balance.
Hmm.
We balance by not always having balance.
Right.
um but I love what you said about the fact that you will lend your attention to what needs it at that moment.
Hmm.
But when it comes to actually building something like a business, which is almost like its own separate baby, how do
Yeah.
you go about building multiple businesses while balancing everything else that you do?
Well, I have my little office, so I'll go in there and I'll just start working. It all starts at the baseline of like with budgeting. I make sure that my household budgeting is taken care of, and then I go into the business side of things and make sure that I'm allotting, funds for the business. Um, but as far as doing that, like with Spanglish right now, that's been my only focus. In the past, I was all over the place and I was constantly like, okay, like whatever kind of piqued my interest in that moment, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go for that. And that's where all my energy is going to go to. And then I'd be like, I'm bored with this. Let me try something else. And I would just be like, okay, let me go with that. And, and my husband he would just honestly like always be supportive. But now that there had been like a lot of things within me that had to kind of, be like worked on internally. And I have been going to therapy and working on my mental health and just taking care of myself and putting myself first more, because as a mom, it's kind of very easy to put everybody else before yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband's been very helpful in kind of reminding me like, babe, take some time to yourself or whatever. So just making more time for myself, focusing on my mental health, and honestly allowing for God to really work in me, because um there were a lot of things like with my childhood and things that I had been dragging along with me for so many years. And I had to just let that go. And I literally was like in tears, just crying and just like almost purging all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And just allowing myself to be okay with, the past and moving on with like the future. So I know I can kind of go on a tangent, but the way that I'm able to kind of get it done and do everything with like the business, I just feel like this drive of like, tomorrow's not promised. Live today as if though tomorrow didn't exist. And the girl Talasia, that you were interviewing the other day, she mentioned that, and I was like, I'm right there with her. Like that is my motto. Like I feel like every moment, like right now, is what matters. Tomorrow doesn't matter. So it's like I everything that I do, I try to do it with that mindset of like it's always like here. Like I never think of like, oh, this little thing. I always think of like,
Right.
if I want to do this, it has to be done at this level. Like, so honestly, obviously, it's just God. Like God just steering my life in the direction that He wants me to go. And I had no idea when I was in high school that I was going to be a businesswoman. I had no idea. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to, pursue, you know, law and all that stuff. And then once I got to college, I pursued business. And you know, I went to DeVry University. I, was like, oh, I can go there and get my degree in less than 4 years. Let's do that. And then I can go to law school. But that's not how it turned out. So God always has a plan for our lives. We don't
Yes.
know how it's going to end up. But, like I had mentioned in the interview, is that, in all your ways, acknowledge Him and He'll direct your paths. So I've never been someone that's going to like attach myself to anything and like stand firm and being like a part of this or a part of that, whether it's an organization or that, because I always feel like wherever God takes me, that's where I'm going to go. So even if I'm here for like a few months and I have to no longer be a part of something because God is sending me somewhere else, like I'm always willing and flexible to go to where He leads me. And so,
And I think that's really important. And one of the things that you really said that stuck out is about the fact that when you're building anything, you go for it 100%. I think that's so important for
yes.
all of us to understand that if you are in the process of building anything, like you said, I'm the same way. I don't ever look at something like, oh, this is just a little opportunity. You never know who's going to be listening. I mean, I
Right.
was producing my radio show on Blog Talk Radio years ago when the owner from a station in Canada heard my little show and hired me for a daily show 5 days a week. And so it's like you
Mm-hmm.
never know where God is going to put you. And sometimes I think that God wants to see, okay, what are you going to do with the little bit
Yeah.
that I give you? How will you
Yes.
multiply that? And
Yes.
that's really just the principles that the Bible teaches us, about having the talents
Mm-hmm.
and the different things like that. Let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about mental health, because I appreciate you being transparent. You were transparent with us for the magazine, and even now you brought it out. I'll tell you, I went to therapy myself a couple of years ago. I
Yeah.
went to therapy. I had some major life things that were shifting, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I need help. Like I
Yeah.
need a moment. So what made you decide to actually go and take some action toward mental health?
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, and without, putting anybody on blast, I
Sure.
think a part of my upbringing, our, our grandparents, are like the people that raised us and things like that. They weren't really um in that type of societal environment where mental health was talked about a lot. And there were a lot of things that, you'd be able to say, you know what, you probably should be, seeing someone and talk to someone about this. And I've always been a major advocate for it because there's just been a lot of things that I've experienced that had affected me. And I feel like if you want someone, if you say, oh, I think you need to do X, Y, and Z. I think you need to see someone. It's like, how can you tell someone to do that and you're not doing it yourself? So leading by example was kind of like my push to do it. And myself, I had experienced depression. Which is weird because it's like you don't know what it is. Like it just kind of happens, and just like how Tamika, like when you're doing your work and you're just kind of going, and like you just suddenly notice these weird changes in your behavior, and you're like kind of like ticked off sometimes, or you just don't want to be around people.
For me, I didn't know that I was depressed, and I really suffered from postpartum depression for probably like 2 years, and before I understood, okay, this is kind of what you were going through. And because I used going as a distraction for the things that I was depressed about. And I remember I even had a doctor that was like, do you want me to put you on some medication? And I was just like, I have Jesus. Like, I'm a preacher's kid. So for me, I'm like, I have God on my side. I am not taking any chemicals. And then a couple years later, when the doctor was like, do you want me to give you something? Do you think you might need a little help? I was like, indeed. Give me something. And for those that may be tuned in, at the time I knew I needed some help. I felt like I was unraveling. And I had finally gotten honest with myself and was like, I number one said, okay, yeah. And I actually had a friend that encouraged me. She said, you need to go to a therapist. And I was like, man, I don't know. And she was like, well, I did it. And because she told me that she did it, it really is, like you said, leading by example. That is why I said, okay, I think I could use a little bit of help. And, they gave me a tiny little dose of something to kind of help me regulate my emotions. And I think I only took it for maybe 6 months or something like that. But it really was a help because I was all over the place. I was spazzing out on everybody. Like I was literally picking up things and throwing them across the room. I was unraveling, and I needed help. Why do you think there's such a stigma attached to mental health? Like, why do we feel like mental health means that you are crazy? Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think a lot that has to do with it is even when we feel like we want to cry, we kind of hold it back. And, it's almost like a normal thing to say like, oh, I don't want to cry. Even though it seems like something so small, crying is so important. And I mean, when, for example, I look at my son, right? We don't like his cry. When a newborn cries, as a mom, you get to know what that cry means. And so God hears us that way. He hears our cry. And so I think there's such a stigma behind getting mental health, help with your mental health, because we're prideful and we're kind of like, oh, I don't want to experience, I don't want to feel this. Nobody likes the feeling of pain, And so, but, some people say like, I don't believe in God because, there's pain, why are people, dying, people that don't deserve to die and things like that. Well, pain is actually very powerful because it teaches us something really important. And I can't really say what it teaches you because it's for every individual, the lesson is different. But I do know that if you embrace the pain and you allow yourself to experience it and go through it, cry, like that was something I had to do. And my husband was there with me. Like when I was saying earlier that I had to purge certain things that I was just carrying, baggage that I was carrying, and not allowing God to heal me from that. I had to just go through it, experience it and feel it. But like we were saying earlier, we get caught up in like, just let's do something that's going to distract us from the pain. And so the quicker that you face the pain you acknowledge it, you accept it, and you realize, okay, I don't like this. I didn't like this. This hurt me, but I'm going to give it to God, and I'm going to allow for him to heal me from this, and I'm going to allow him to take it. Now, let me open myself up to being vulnerable. Let me open up myself to grace, forgiveness, and understanding that, at the end of the day, we all have we all make mistakes for a lot of different reasons. And the more we can, understand one another and not be so easily like close, like, I've always been very good at, like, I'm cutting this person off.
Me
This
too.
person hurt me. I'm done. Like,
I'm done.
They're
I'm
not
good.
deserving of
Okay.
being a part of my, space.
Yes.
So, like, I can be a hermit, girl. Let me tell you, like, I'm good all by myself. But the truth is, we're not good all by ourselves. I've been doing this like little pregnancy study thing, and I get paid for it and stuff. But I've been doing it, and I know one of the things was to watch how my child would do when I would leave the room, to see how he would react. And immediately, as soon as I left the room, he went to the door and he stood by the door like this. And so what that tells me is that even in children, you can see we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to have community. We're meant to be amongst one another. And with everything going on right now in the world, anything that's going to divide us, we have to be very careful and cautious as to, like, what we say and how we say it, because we have to fight against the enemy and the things that are trying to divide. So, I think going back to your question, I think there's just a stigma because, we're a little prideful. We're a little bit, don't hurt me. Like, I'm important. Like, how dare you say that to me, But, I think when we become vulnerable, that's kind of the key word there, vulnerability, that my therapist had talked to me about. I think that really, really breaks a lot of this. So,
and it's amazing because sometimes you have to risk it all for love. And by love, it's not even always about a romantic relationship. It's about loving yourself. It's about being able to properly love your children, the people around you. And sometimes being vulnerable is risking it all,
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. And the other thing is, I just think mental health is not always the person that's like talking to themselves walking down the street. That's not what it is.
Right.
It's about
right.
literally having a healthy outlook on life, a
Yes.
healthy outlook on your future. That's mental health. And sometimes it's just so nice to just be able to go dump what you're feeling on somebody else, and they help you kind of navigate things. That's one of the things I talked about that I tell people all the time is that, the therapist that I went to, she literally helped me to kind of be, what's the word? Is it introspective?
Yeah.
And really look at my patterns that were destructive.
Yes.
And it was so powerful because
girl.
I began to understand, okay, I use this as a distraction for that. So when I went to her, I was just like, okay, we're not going to do that. And I found out what my triggers were that would make me fall into bad behavior that would ultimately lead me to destruction. Ciao. I was a hot mess. And so, it was really powerful for me. So let's talk about,
I'm sorry, Mama.
No, go ahead.
Even in the way that the words that we say and how we say them, because I had given her a scenario between my husband and I, and she was like, yeah, if you were to tweak that and say these words instead, you'd be able to, it would come off more as like building up versus tearing down.
Wow.
And so even in the words, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's so powerful because even when you say that, it's even about how we look at things ourselves. So it's like the way we speak to ourselves about a particular situation. It's like you said, it's like, if I were to tweak it this way, that person was not attacking me on any level. I deal with a lot of different people all the time, and it's amazing the different personalities that I encounter. And sometimes I just look at people and I'm like, what makes you act like that? It's like, why did you get that from this? Like, I'm so confused, and I don't know. It's like God is just, and sometimes I'm like, Lord, why did I have to bite my tongue this time? Like, why did I have to,
Right. Why do I have to be the bigger person?
Yeah. And he's like, because you know better. And I'm just like, you're right. So let's talk about Spanglish foods. I see the seasonings behind you, the adobo. Yes. So talk to us about Spanglish foods.
Okay, well, what do you want to know, Tamika?
I want to know, first of all, pick up one of your seasonings so we can see it
Okay,
up close and personal, okay?
okay.
So I'm gonna tell you. So
Oops.
you know
There we
I've
go.
been doing this cooking thing and all that good stuff on there you go. Yes, that's a nice big bottle too. It's a
Yes,
nice big
it's an
bottle.
8 ounce.
I can't wait because I ordered mine. So it should be here any day now. But I did not realize that like we've basically boycotted Goya, right? And so
I'm not mentioning any names
you're
because
not, but I am. You can't, but I am. So, oh, I gotta take this earring off. So girl, this earring is tearing my ear up. So I had,
I love you.
I think I made a chipotle sauce or
I
something that I
love
wanted
your
to.
cooking. I love your
Thank you.
cooking videos. I'm like, I can't edit stuff like that. That's really nice. Like the boom, boom, boom,
Thank
toss, toss,
you.
toss. I love
Thank
that.
you. And girl, people were coming for me. They were like, "No, sis." I was everybody's sis that night. "No, sis.
Oh,
We don't use Goya anymore." I was like, "Well, do tell,
oh,
because when did this happen?" You know. So
oh yeah.
when they let me know, I was just like, "Okay, well, I need some different seasoning because I do not need IG attacking me anymore." So I was really excited about the fact that you created your own
Yeah,
adobo seasoning. So what
yeah.
led you to creating Spanglish foods? Let's start there.
Okay, well, many years ago, back in 2012, is when I started the actual brand of Spanglish. So this is not a brand new logo. People have known this image and this logo since then, since 2012. And it started all by me wanting to have my own restaurant, which I still do want to have my own restaurant in the future. Um, and I started by selling my platters and things of that nature to my coworkers. I started trying, and it got crazy because Daniel was a toddler, but Layla was in the car seat. And so I was putting them in the car, going to ShopRite, the Browns ShopRite on Island Avenue, and buying ingredients, going home, cooking, and delivering meals to people's houses. It got crazy, and I was like, this is not for me. I did like one event, really one nice event in Sharon Hill, and I made some pupusas because pupusas is the like big dish. But anyways, we'll get to that in the future. But then fast forward, we moved back to my hometown in Delaware, and just my grandmother passed away, mi abuela Rosa, she passed away in May, and that woman, like she's the definition of I'm just doing because this is what I know what to do, and I'm just doing it. You know, I don't need people.
Mm-hmm.
She's not about like the accolades and the this, and she's just like, this is what I do. I know how to cook. I'm gonna cook. And she had her own stand in el mercado, that's what they call it, from in El Salvador. So I'm half Salvadorian and half Dominican. And so
So
mi
you have a
abuela
whole lot of
Rosa,
attitude. Poor ex.
that
Poor
man is a
ex.
patient man sent from heaven. He is a patient man, let me tell you. Um, but yeah, so my when she passed away, as I had said earlier, like I'm all about like tomorrow's not promised, and it's like our time doesn't. We can't control the time. It just continues to go. You know, just like that song, time keeps on ticking, ticking. You know, into the future or slipping into the future,
It keeps doing
and
something.
yeah, like
Right.
look, we can't stop it. So it's
Right.
like I only have one life to live. I need to do something. And so I set up all of my like LLC because I can't use the LLC for PA because it's a different state and
Mm-hmm.
it's just all these fees, but y'all don't really know about that stuff because it's like behind the scenes business paperwork and stuff. It's boring. But so I set up my LLC here in the state of Delaware and Spanglish. And when I heard that a lot of people were disappointed in the current product that they were using, I was like, you know what? Like I can make this. I can do this myself. It's been a staple for my whole life. This is all I've ever known. This is how I flavor my food is with adobo and sazon. Like esas son las cosas. Those are the things that I've been used to cooking with. My mom, that's all she cooks with. You know, that's how she flavors her food. You know how some people that flavor their food with just salt and pepper?
Yeah,
You
we
know,
don't.
but we don't. We all do that.
Yeah, no. I was just laughing
So
about that earlier. There's like this meme out there that it's like the recipe says flavor with salt and pepper, and then it has like 12 different seasonings. And they're like black people. Like this is, and it's so like clearly Latina people do the same thing. Like
exactly.
we need our food
Yeah.
needs to be just as colorful as our
Mm-hmm.
attitudes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying.
Y yo soy Afro Latina. So,
See?
you know,
See?
so, see. So, so I was like, my thing was though, what my prayer to God was, whatever I do here, it will not take the place or replace my first job of being a homemaker, a housewife, taking care of my home, being that virtuous woman that Proverbs talks about. And I just like my mind was like, no, there's whatever I do, like my kids have to be able to be there with me. I People know, like I take my kids everywhere. When we were recording our album, you can ask Billy, the producer. I had the pack and play in the studio with my kids. Like they
Yes.
come with me everywhere. So I was like, what can I do? What can I set up from home that's gonna be, beneficial to the
Cassandra says
household?
bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Yes, yes.
And yeah,
Pero eres dominicana, so like you got to
sí.
say something different, Cassandra.
Oh, Cassandra es dominicana.
No, no, tú eres dominicana.
Oh, sí, yo soy dominicana.
Yeah,
Sí,
yeah,
sí,
yeah,
sí. But buen provecho. There you
yeah.
go. But yeah, I was like, okay, something that I can do that, and also like cooking and all that stuff. I was like, I can't do that right now because my thing is, yes, I can make platters from home, but it's not going to be something that the state of Delaware is going to approve. It would be kind of like under the table. And I feel like in order for me to be taken seriously and my brand to be taken seriously, I need to do things like in order and they need to be right. So I applied for the cottage food establishment. So in the state of Delaware, I am able to create my own seasoning blends in my own
Nice.
home. But we are in the process of, you know, doing things. Thanks to
And
you,
expanding.
Tamika. Thank you, Tamika, for
Hey,
sending me the tips and the information
oh bless
because
God.
one of those, you'll see.
Iron sharpens iron. So,
Yes,
yeah.
you'll see what's to come. But
I'm excited.
yeah. So that's pretty much how the company was birthed. And Spanglish, the name, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. That's all that I've grew up is speaking Spanglish. So
Yeah, we can tell.
Espanol
Yeah.
and English. So
Yes.
yes.
So, you just had your very first sold out event just a couple of days ago.
Yes.
So, I mean, you gotta talk about it. Let us know about that because that's a big
Girl,
deal.
you know what? It's so funny because I was looking at my stash, my first like amount of seasoning bottles that I had, and these four are already for someone, so
Yay!
they've already been like claimed and everything. But I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know like how this is gonna go. Like I just didn't know. It was our first event. And so when we got there, shout out to my husband. He is the ultimate salesman. He is like the executive sales person of Spanglish Foods Inc. And he was just doing his thing. And honestly, it's a very easy thing to sell because what you'll find once you receive your bottle is that it's very fresh. I want you to first look at it and compare it to any other products you may have in your
I mean,
household.
I have the like contraband that's like in my house right now, so I can't wait to compare. Because you can't
Yes,
talk about it, but I can. So,
yes, you'll be able to see the difference, smell the difference, but most importantly, you'll be able to taste the difference. And so as soon as people tasted it, they were already like enamored. And surprisingly,
wow.
the people in this area are not familiar with adobo. So anybody out there that's not familiar, go ahead and check me out. You'll be able to get all kinds of, great information on this
Are
product.
you able to give us a little bit more of an explanation of what adobo is? Because like there's
Yes.
probably somebody here who, they
Mm-hmm.
just deal with salt and pepper, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we want to bring some
Mm-hmm.
flavor in your life, folks. So
Absolutely. Well,
yeah, yeah.
Well, adobo not only flavors your food, it makes your food look pretty because there's turmeric in it. So turmeric acts as a like giving it some color. You know, sometimes you make your pork chops and you don't want your pork chops looking white.
Right.
I mean, me personally, I think that looks kind of
It's
doesn't look
gross.
appetizing.
No, not at
So
all.
yeah, so what adobo is a mixture of garlic powder, specifically granulated garlic powder.
We're not giving away
It's
the recipe.
well, it's not the recipe because I'm not going to
Okay.
tell you what the measurements are.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, so it's
Sorry.
garlic. Yeah, it's an all natural product. What you'll see is that our the other things on the market that you'll find, they throw in anti-caking agents, and anti-caking agents actually act as a sodium, have a high sodium content.
Mm.
And so if you notice, that is actually kind of a way to make it cheaper, because it's cheaper to mix anti-caking agent and salt. And so we don't add anti-caking agent, which is tri
Nice.
tri tricalcium chloride is what it is. Um, so all we have in there is garlic powder, salt, pepper, oregano, ground oregano, and turmeric. That's it. So it's, the only thing that you'll ever need to season your food with. And so what adobo is those ingredients. Now, some people, they'll add their own little extra things here and there, but to be honest, that's only for like people that know about flavor. Um, but if you're someone that is just kind of like, just give it to me simple and straight, this is all you're gonna need. Just sprinkle that and you'll be good. And so
I
yeah.
love it. And the thing that people need to understand is that you literally bottle these by hand. Your facility
Yes.
is like you have an inspected facility. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like this is
Hmm.
top grade. And it's so funny because it was like one night it was an ASMR or something that, you were up and you were working and you had a live on and I was watching
Yes.
it and I remember kind of saying to myself, like, I didn't realize she had to do all this stuff, like the weighing
Girl.
and it just kind of like serenaded me to sleep. And I was like, oh man, I missed the
Hmm.
rest of the live. We actually have a question here for you.
Okay, yay.
Cassandra says, is her recipe generational inspired based on your scripture, 2 Timothy 1:5?
Oh, well, my scriptures, the Second Timothy 1:5, she probably knows that because of my Instagram.
Yeah, because
What
I
I
put it
pulled up.
down here. Yeah, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, how does she know about that? But yeah. So actually, my first and middle name, Loida E, is in the Bible. So Loida is the Spanish version of Lois. So if you go to Second Timothy 1:5, you'll find Timothy's grandmother and mother, who were two women of strong faith. And
Mm.
so that is my name, which is why it's so important for me. I was telling Tamika, please put my middle initial in there because I want people to ask that because I believe that, names are so important. I don't want to digress into that. Is my recipe generationally inspired? Honestly, it is, but it wasn't that deep. It was just very much as simple as it's a staple that I've grown up with all my life, adobo itself. And when I did my research, I found it's really not that complex. It's a very simple thing. And what I noticed is, like I was saying earlier, is that there were other things that were added into that and that I didn't even realize I was consuming that you really don't want to put those things in your body because really we're kind of, our society is going towards the clean eating. And what I've been able to do is take out those dirty things and
Thank
keep it
you.
clean. Yeah. So,
It's amazing because in cooking, I don't think we realize how much stuff contains sodium. And
yeah.
so it's like if adobo actually, if you add salt into like whoever's recipe, if they add salt
Yeah.
into it, but then you have this non-caking agent or whatever you called it, and that has sodium in it, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And so it's like,
Yep.
because I've been struggling, I finally actually kind of started mixing my own seasonings. My
Yeah.
sister is in Baltimore. She has her own garden. And she was like, Tamika, you cook with all fresh stuff anyway. Just turn it into
Yeah.
your own seasonings. And I had to start doing that because
Yeah.
my blood pressure was out of control. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I'm cooking my own food. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think some of it clearly now, a lot of it might have had to do with seasonings.
Yeah. And Tamika, I'm so glad you said that because I've already, even at the event and when I went to the post office to deliver your stuff, to send out your stuff, the lady at the post office was asking questions. And one important thing that and I'm grateful for my customers for being patient and coming on this journey with us. But sodium has been something that I've noticed in the consumer base that is so important, and that people want to know how much sodium there is. They want to have one that has no sodium at all.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I want you and everyone else to know that our company, this isn't going to be the only product that we have. This is our first product. So we've already been getting feedback, and that is already in the works. It's something that we will be doing in the future, but we want to first get everyone to get to know who we are and learn us and become a part of the family. And so, but I've always been all about customer feedback. I mean, I don't know if I can say I make a living like on the side, but my little side hustle is doing surveys and getting paid for it. And the way that I take in information is when I take it in, I it's like my brain is like, okay, how can I reproduce this and use this in my own, business life?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
even like when you go to the grocery store and you'll see like a packet of meat that it'll have a coupon that says if you buy such and such thing, with this meat, you'll get $1 off. Like my husband, he looks at that and it goes over his head. For me, it's like, that's something that I could use and do with my company. So the sodium thing is something that is definitely already like in my head, and we're, going to be taking care of for our customers that are conscious of their sodium intake.
And one of the things I saw when you were mixing your seasoning is that it's not powdered. So I
No,
cannot wait. I was hoping you would be here by now and that I would have cooked with it, but
I
like
know.
it's not like this misty powder. Like
Yes,
there's real seasoning here. Like there are real herbs that are in there.
yes,
And I am
yes,
psyched to use it.
yes.
I'm
I'm
psyched to use
excited
it.
for you to use it
Yes, 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 yes.
and
So
to taste it.
Cassandra just she wanted to just point out that when she read the scripture, she said it was
Mm.
prophetic when she read it. Yeah. I love
Mm.
Cassandra. Yeah, I
I
love
love her
Cassandra.
too. I've been seeing
She's
her
she's
posts and stuff.
amazing. She'll be coming to the show in the next couple of weeks. And
Hmm.
so if she tells you it was prophetic, she definitely researched it before she said anything.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cassandra does not
That's why I
play.
don't want to change my Instagram. Sometimes I'm tempted to change it to Loida E. Hopkins, but I'm like, no, I want to keep that because I think that's important that I have a biblical name. So,
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
Well, let everybody know, how can they go about getting some of your adobo seasoning?
Okay, so great question. So, right at this very moment, I am only able to sell inside the state of Delaware. So, I'm not able to cross state lines because of FDA regulations and things of that sort. But what you can do if you live in the state of Delaware, you can contact me by either going to my Instagram page at Spanglish Foods Inc., or you can go to our website. Now, I am going to be doing some flea market events and all of that. As long as you are following me on Instagram, you'll be able to kind of keep up to date as to where you can find me and where you can see me. So it is a little bit of like a, cat and mouse. Like, I
And
want people
maybe
to,
I can just buy a whole bunch of them and then people can just hit me up. So I'm just
that has nothing to do
I'm
with me. So
and not at
if you
all.
want to buy,
No, I'm
you know
just
what I'm
saying. So
saying?
for those of you guys that are, friends of mine and all of that good
Hmm.
stuff, if you want, like, I actually have bought a bunch of them. That's why, like, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
So I've bought a bunch.
Thank
So if you
you.
do want some, I'll make sure that you get some.
Hmm.
Okay. So just hit
But
me up
we will
and I'll
be
make sure.
literally today I've been communicating with our co-packer, so we will be very soon.
International very soon.
Yes, you'll be able to purchase our product on Amazon. We're in the process of
Nice.
getting we're upgrading our labeling, our packaging, all of that to be suitable to our consumers. So yeah.
That is so awesome. And you know what? Everything, despise not small beginnings. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so it's like you really needed to understand everything that needed to go into it so that when you do
Yeah.
decide to connect with a larger entity, you can explain to them, I want my recipe to look like this, that, the other. And
Yep.
I think ultimately it makes you a better businesswoman when you have to learn from the
Thank
ground up.
you.
You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
it has been a joy hanging out with
Yes.
you. So thank you so much for just being part of Tamika Hall Live, Women Who Win tonight. Thank you for sharing your journey with, us being able to talk about mental health. I didn't expect us to go there like that, but I think it was really helpful. And for those that I've been seeing people pop in and out the whole entire time. If you did miss that segment where we were talking about mental health and we both talked about our own bouts with it, make sure that you watch the replay, share it out for somebody else, another woman, that may be struggling and need to know that it's okay to take charge of her mental health. But make sure that you connect with Loida E. Hopkins. Yes, make sure you connect with her. And make sure you go to Spanglish Foods Incorporated. Get on their mailing list because soon and very soon we'll be able to ship. I'm saying they'll be able to ship out internationally. So
and you will get a free recipe too.
Yeah, and you guys got to follow her anyway because she has her own YouTube channel and teaches you how to cook things and all that good stuff. So listen, folks, on Monday. Next Wednesday, we're not going to be here. We're not going to be live because, it's the day before Thanksgiving. And I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to get your eat on, your cook on, your early cooking on and all that good stuff. But on Monday, I'm going to have Radia Renee here. We're going to be talking about her new EP, her very first EP that is coming out. So she's going to be live with me on Behind the Mic. So I'm just really excited. We just have so many great things that are popping here over at Tamika Inc. And so you definitely don't want to miss it. Remember that I love you. Remember you were created to make God famous and you have a blessed night.